see, record on this computer. All right, guys. So today's topic is going to be how to manage your emotions to manage your money. So the most questions I get asked are the following, and we'll kind of go from there to see what comes up for anyone. So the first thing is, what is the correlation between emotions and money? And I'll say this. The most best example I've heard is that if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. And what does that mean? That means that whether we realize it or not, early or later in our life, the way we feel about money, our relationship with money, and our narrative, how we talk to it, really truly manifest what you do with it. And what that means is all our life experiences, all our education, our lack of experience or thereof, all pours into money and how it flows to us or how it misses us. So I'm going to pose a question for you guys to really think about this. Anybody in here ever played Monopoly? Anyone played the game Monopoly? No. Okay. So in Monopoly, there's fake money. But when we're little kids, besides Monopoly, there's not much games that play with money. So we don't have much exposure to it except what? The conversations in our home of origin and how our caretakers speak to money, speak about money, or how they speak to one another about money. So I'll give you guys examples of how literally from the very beginning, when we're littler, when we're younger, when we're young adults, we learn how to speak to money and how to relate to it. There's some homes where they might have abundance and they might have fruitful environments where money just flows. They literally get way more checks than they do bills. Their conversations include the following. What would you guys like to do for the weekend? Oh, we want to go to Disneyland. Perfect. Let's go, right? And in other homes, we might have the situation of like, what are we going to do this weekend? We have no money. We have so many bills. Your father's out of work. We're behind on the light. I don't know what to do at the grocery store because I have $40 and there's 6 of us. There's 4 of us. There's 3 of us. Very different scenarios. And there's some families who are in between those. They're not necessarily struggling. They're not in survival, but they're not in abundance either. And it's a balance of pull and tug in regards to how you speak to money. A very big test to get your baseline. And for those of you who are into research and any of the above will know what a baseline is. It's literally saying, where's my starting point? A good baseline, a good exercise for any of you guys that are watching this to do is the following. Go get a $100 bill, okay? Go get a $100 bill and literally place it in front of you. And I want you to literally record yourself talking to the $100 bill. Whatever first comes to you, whatever words, whatever feelings, whatever gut reactions your body has, is your baseline narrative with money. For some people, what comes up is, oh, like, Jackson, you upset me. Jackson, you don't stay with me. Why don't I ever see more of you? I'm mad at you because you're always just taking care of the light bill. Versus other people, it might be like, yeah, I'm about to save you. You're going into the savings account. I'm going to put you away. There's other people that might have a conversation right away to be like, yes, some new shoes. I got some new purses coming my way. Or yes, I get to go out to eat. Mendocino's farm is bomb. It's yummy. There's all kinds of different conversations. But the most important is it a healthy conversation? What is the emotion behind it that comes up? Is it fear? Is it jealousy? Is it doubt? Is it joy? What is coming up for you? So if I won't say that any of those feelings are bad or good, they just are. But if you have more of some than the other, there's an unbalance. A lot of people where they have difficulty keeping more Jacksons, more hundreds with them, is people who either come from a survival mentality or a not enough mentality. What does that sound like? That sounds like perhaps people around you, people that are your loved ones, your close ones, your friends, your colleagues, your environment that talk to money as the following. We can't afford that. We don't do that. People like us aren't able to do that or afford that. Who do you think you are? That's a big one. Who do you think you are buying that? Do you think money grows from trees? Do you think we're rich? Who do you think you are? That is a mentality of not enough. It's of a survival mentality, and it serves its purpose. I value and I validate and I completely understand that for a lot of individuals, that is the reality. They come from war-torn countries, they come from not enough families, and that's okay. But it's what do you want to do about that if you were born into one or you're around that? How do you want to change that into I am worthy, I am capable, I deserve everything that the universe wants to bless me with. Abundance is my birthright. And as you literally say that with money coming in, it will just bless you. Here's an important concept to fully understand before I go into these questions. Money is not a master. Money is a tool. Money likes to flow like any other part of nature. I want you guys to really consider something, and here it goes. This is the most beautiful, interesting, and I love this conversation. I get super excited when I teach this and when I share it with others. Water comes from nature, right? Plants come from nature. If we really think about it, we're a lot like them because 75%-ish of our body is water. They say that the chemistry component of water can be changed by our thoughts. I think I've mentioned this before, but they did this experiment with monks up in the Himalayas where they had them pray and meditate over water. And those that meditated over the water saw that the molecular structure of happiness, joy, and gratefulness on the water changed the molecular structure of that water into beautiful components. They look like little snowflakes under a microscope. Those that were assigned to meditate fear, doubt, jealousy, anger, sadness, the chemical component of that water, the molecular structure of those, mutated. They literally look like plastic Tupperware that's been melted in the microwave. Very similar to cancer cells. Very similar. What the bleep do we know is a great doc that tells you about that in more detail. And if any of you guys are interested, I have that. You're more than welcome to borrow it. And Netflix has it. So just hop on Netflix and it's called What the Bleep Do We Know? Literally, that's what it's called. So moving back to that, I want you guys to consider what is money made of? Literally, money is paper. That's all it is. And according to whatever ink is on there is the currency or the value of that. But at the end of the day, it's just paper. So what does paper come from? It comes from trees. Where do trees come from? Nature. The number one rule in nature is nature. It flows as it needs. So why do I bring this up? Money is the same way. Money needs to flow. It needs to go and it needs to come. It's like the saying that says, if you spend, you will receive. If you give, you get, right? If you invest, you see results. And we invest in different things. Money doesn't like to stay still. So I'll give you guys an example. Really good mentorship will include mindset with money and its emotions. There's this story where this king, he has 3 disciples that will take over his throne when he no longer can. The first disciple, or each of them, are given $100, let's say, right? They're each given a $100 bill. And the instructions from the king are, I need you to make the best out of this $100. Go. Person 1 runs and goes, oh my gosh, I'm saving this $100. I'm going to bury it and then nothing happens to it. And then when the king asks, I'll present my best and say, I saved it. Nothing happened to it, my king. It's still good. Does that money flow? Does it have movement? No, it's stuck. It is stagnant. Person 2, my king, your wish is my command, but I like to have fun. So I'm going to go out and just spend it and live my best life and explore the world. I'm just going to go out and live. Whatever. If I make more money, cool. But if not, I lived. That's disciple 2. Disciple 3 says, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and triple this money. I'm going to be very strategic with it, and I have a plan for it, and I'm sticking to it. Nope, can't do this and can't do that. I'm sticking to this plan, right? Who do you think the king picks? The point of this story, the principle in regards to emotions and money, is that number 1 does not get chosen because money likes to flow in and out, kind of like emotions. No emotion is permanent. Neither is money. Money is literally just a number. It's a concept. It's an idea. At the end of the day, it's paper and it goes back to nature. Like anything, it recalibrates itself. So there's a balance and flow. And if you go against it, it doesn't work. You end up with more bills than you do checks. Disciple number 2, the one living their best life. They're chosen, and not because they're living their best life, but for different reasons. The emotion connected to money was joy, experience, this understanding that there's acceptance of flow and come. Whether or I keep this money or I let it go, it's an experience, and I'm willing to learn from it. So the disciple comes back and says, my Keen, I got 20 bucks out of your $100. And in the meantime, I got to see the Great Pyramids. I got to flow down, this beautiful canyon. And I also learned a hard lesson that when I traded, 20 bucks for a boat, I actually ended up buying a broken boat, but I learned not to buy a broken boat anymore. I come back a greater man. I come back a more wise man. I come back with so much experience. I got you on the next 100. That is somebody you want to channel. That's somebody you want to learn from. Experience is worth a lot. And they still had some money. The third one is definitely to take into consideration too. The third disciple, what they did is they reinvested, but they gained no experience. They were very strategic and just said, I'm going to let it grow. I'm going to do this, and boom, done. But they lack experience. They lack the flow and the give of money with their emotions. The most valuable one here is one that still has money, has experience, and is mindful of their emotions and how they played with money, how they spoke with money. So that's very important to consider. Another thing to really take in consideration is how this plays out with our purchases with impulsiveness or lack of. So one of the questions we had today is how to stop yourself from making impulsive buys. And then followed up by how do I do that with purchases? So we can only speak from experience. So I'm going to use the US culture as an example. So US culture is definitely more mainstream on the materialistic side. And we try to buy our happiness through purchases. So 3 very important things that I've always told myself in regards to managing my emotions, in regards to purchases, and I've also learned along the way, is 3 main questions you want to ask yourself. So I'm going to type these. One is, do I need this? Okay. Do you actually need do I need this is 1 in regards to purchases. Number 2 question you want to ask yourself is, do I already have this in some capacity? Meaning, if I already have a pair of shoes that are black that do the same thing, they're a boot, a heel, X thing, do I still need it, right? And 3 is, what emotion am I trying to gain and or channel from this purchase? So in realizing those 3 things, you really want to ask yourself, let's say that we have what's a good example? A new pair of shoes, right? For any individual. You're going to ask yourself, do I need this? But that also includes the questions of, do I have room for this? Because then there's this also great documentary that talks about minimalism, and it's called Minimalism. And it's excellent in understanding the concept of we trick ourselves into thinking we need something, when in reality, everything we need, we already have. And it's understandable that we need shoes and we need clothing and other things to drape ourselves for safety and protection. But if you already have something, does it really serve its purpose, right? Or am I chasing something else? And that's where emotions come in. So the second question is, do I already have this in some capacity? That's the question. Do I still need this? So do I already have a pair of shoes like this in some capacity? Yeah, I do actually. I do have 2 black boots. Do I need 2? I don't know. So then here's where things get really real in correlating money with emotions. What emotion am I trying to gain and or channel from this purchase? Well, I've been feeling sad. I've been feeling sad because my grandma passed. I've been feeling sad because my significant other broke up with me. I feel sad because I didn't do so well on my exam at school. These are all feelings that you're having that are temporary. They're not permanent. So I'm trying to gain a temporary feeling of happiness through this purchase. But how long will it last? Purchases is the same thing as using a substance. It's only temporary, but it will not last. So you always want to ask yourself these three questions. Do I need this? Do I already have this in some capacity? And what emotion am I trying to gain and or channel from this purchase? And if you can truly identify what it is that you're feeling because you have a high level of emotional intelligence or vocabulary, then you can go deeper into it and be like, well, what other ways when I've been sad can I help myself other than this purchase? Well, I could give myself a bubble bath. I could listen to some Yeezy. I could make myself some popcorn, whatever works for you. And if that is a great option for you, then that's something that you can combat this purchase with. Most purchases are made impulsively. This is why, if you know your market really well, most people, if you give them exactly what you want in the moment, they will buy it, even if they don't really need it, because it's that instant gratification, it's that happiness in the very moment. This is why online shopping changed the game. This is why credit card debt went sky high once e-commerce and online shopping went up over the years as websites and the internet got better. So there's just a connection between emotions and money. So another one, how do I not let my emotions or personal life get in the way of business and income? That's a great one. It's not easy. And I think we're all human and we all struggle in some capacity or another. So it's important to understand that if you can correlate what it is that's going on with you and what you're feeling emotionally, then you can definitely correlate how it's playing out in other parts of your life. So I'll share this, and this is very profound, and I thought it was really great when I first learned it. There's this Native American proverb and story and understanding that the Apache actually share. And they say that the human is like a 4-bedroom house. And inside that house, right, the human, the person, there's 4 rooms. And room 1 is emotional. Room 2 is mental. Room 3 is spiritual. And room 4 is, I said spirit, cognitive, physical, and emotional. That's the 4. And if you don't visit each room daily and at least check in, see what's missing, and see what is packed in that room, you won't be well. You won't be well-rounded, but well overall. And if we add into cognitive the financial, even spiritual, or even emotional, we're not fully addressing what we need as far as our life to actually continue flowing. Finances actually flow into every single part of our life because it's a needed necessity and resource that we have, right, to continue. So if you think about those 4 rooms and what's actually needed to fulfill each of them, we need to think to ourselves, how does money play a part in each part of my life physically? There's a lot of people that have a narrative that say, well, I don't have enough money for the gym, or I don't have enough money for X thing for me to be well physically. It's finding other resources that would work for you in regards to fulfilling that spiritually. Well, I don't have the money to, donate at church, or I don't have the money to drive over to this or that. It's finding what works for you, but also what are alternatives with not having to engage what you don't have. So it's once again managing your emotions to find what works for you money-wise. Yeah. So the reason I'm mentioning like the 4 homes or the 4 rooms within the human is also knowing what is missing from me. What part of my life is not flowing? And if that's the case, money will pop up in that area. So let's say that you're not doing physically well or spiritually well. You're not able to produce or be productive as much as if you were. That means less money. If you concentrate fully and utterly just on crap, I got another bill. Man, here comes the TV bill. Here comes the AT&T bill. Here comes my child care or whatnot. What you really want to consider is what are you giving attention and energy to? Versus, I will get more checks in the mail. I will have much more income this year than I will debt. This year, I'm going to manifest the absolute most amazing trip that I fully funded just based on my efforts and my network. You're giving energy to that. You're speaking it literally into existence. And a lot of people say, oh, this is just woo-woo stuff. That's fine if that's the mentality. But if you give it a shot and you start to see results, it's worth trying. So that's managing your mindset, your emotions to manage your money, right? Am I saying that if you literally just wish all your bills away, they'll go away? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is money likes to flow. Energy attracts energy. If you start speaking into existence more checks, more payouts, more income, it naturally will be attracted to you. Like attracts like. Chemistry has shown that. So going into the next question that's here is, oh, this is a great one. How do I save money if I have bills and I feel guilty about saving if I have a lot of bills? And how do I deal with my broke mentality? Great question. So what I'll say is this: saving is consistency and persistence. It's actually knowing what's attainable. SMART goals, right? We always talk about these physically. So I'll give you guys an example just so you could see it in different areas of your life in the 4 rooms of the human. If I say, I want to be fit, I want to have a 6-pack by March, and it's February 1st, it's probably not going to happen unless I completely just dedicate myself to that and nothing else, no chips, nothing. It's highly unrealistic that I will actually meet my SMART goals. So SMART is, sustainable. You're able to measure it, you're able to see it, feel it, and actually attain it, right? The most important one is the A, it's attainable. So it's the same thing with financial goals. So let's say that you save $5 and you save $5 every month. A lot of people could do that, maybe some not. It's not about the $5. I'll share with you that you're literally training yourself as if you would a marathon, as if you would training yourself to do a new skill or a new hobby. It's little by little. There's this amazing great chart that it's the weekly challenge. It's a 52-week challenge, and I'll actually email that out to you guys. And my coach actually shared this to me, where every week, beginning at the first week of the year, you add $1 to your savings account. And it seems pretty easy, but here's how it works. It doubles down. And it's literally not about the money. It's about the consistency and your willingness to do it. So week 1 of January, it's $1. Woohoo, right? And then it doubles the next week. Week 2, $2. And then week 3, it's not $3, but it's $4 because it doubles. Do you guys see how that doubles down? And then in week 4, it's not $4, it's actually 16. And yeah, it's really hard to keep up with it because once again, we don't like routine as humans. We want to be free and we just want to flow with things. It's building a muscle. It's literally saying, nope, I don't need that smoothie. I don't need that Starbucks. I need to save this. Where it gets really tough, and I'll share with you from experience, is probably around March. That's where it starts to hit you where it's like, that's that manicure, that's that trip to Mendocino's, that's that trip I can't take right now because I've committed myself to this. In regards to a business and managing your emotions and your finances, I'm going to show you guys something, and this is as real as it can get. I love getting my nails done, and I've committed myself to closing escrow this year for a home. I'm just being completely transparent. Check it. Literally, I've committed myself to doing my nails at home or figuring out a way to pay it where it doesn't touch my checkings account. Somehow, some way, I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to make it happen. So as long as it's cash or I do it myself, I'm allowing myself to. This is mindset, and this is commitment and managing my own emotions. So it's just a quick example of literally what are your priorities and how you can learn to better manage a business by managing your emotions so finances will flow. And things will get rough, they will get tough, but what's important to know is that you ride it out. There's ups and there's downs, and knowing that at the end you're learning something and you're growing. So let's see here. The next question we have is, how do I change my parents' narrative from surviving to thriving? That's great. How do I change my relationship with money? And how do emotions connect with money? Yeah, I completely agree. So one thing that I mentioned at the very beginning of this is changing your narrative. And that's very important. I loved how they said that, surviving to thriving. So here's what I'll say about it. We are taught either one, and sometimes rarely in between. When you're thriving, you know that money comes to you easily. You are fully aware that you are worthy, you are capable, and you deserve everything that comes to you in abundance for the universe literally just to bless you. And if you're surviving, you're coming from a household or a parenting pod that believes that you have to work hard for money, money doesn't grow on trees, or that money is power, money is your master. There's this thing that a lot of wealthy families teach their children since they're young, like 3, 4 years old. They literally look at them and they say, don't work for money, have money work for you. And I'll share with you guys transparently that I didn't hear that until I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it's one of the best books. I'll actually type that in, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that I've read. And the great thing about this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is that it's in every single library I've ever gone to because it's so well known. And on Amazon, it has so many great reviews. The biggest takeaway that I got from that book that really literally breaks it down about poor man, rich man mentality, or rich families versus poor families, is mindset. It's literally learning from a very young age that all is possible and you are worthy of what is coming to you. A lot of people have difficulty actually pricing themselves with their services, their products, or their time, their exchange of time for money, because they learn that you have to work hard for money. And I'll share with you guys, there's a big difference between working hard for your money, but also having good work ethic. There's a huge difference. And on top of that, if you really love what you do, that's a dangerous mix. And I love to just kind of bring out like very inspiring professionals that are good at what they do. They know their value and they charge accordingly. Literally, you will see such a huge difference in their business plan and their thrivingness within their business. It just flows. And if you can find people like that, ask them as many questions as you can in regards to their morning routine, how they talk to money, and how they ride out the waves when things get tough financially. The best thing you can do is inquire with others and what comes up for them. So here's another thing that you guys want to ask yourself is what do emotions have to do with money? And we'll go right back to this, right, in the relationship. You want to ask yourself, if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, what is your relationship with money? And if it's not the healthiest, you'll know it right away. Not the healthiest means you have a lot of bank transactions where there's defaults, where there's overdrafts, where there's a lack of. If you have this, I would highly recommend to ask yourself, what did you purchase? What were you feeling when you purchased it that made you have an overdraft? When you identify that, the most beautiful thing is that you start to learn what triggered you. And that's what I mean by actually knowing your emotions to manage your money. If you can identify that trigger and fully go into there and be like, okay, well, wait, what did I feel? Did I feel less than? Did I feel left out? Did I feel not heard, not seen, not valued? Do I feel like I need this purchase to validate who I am? If any of that can be changed by anything else other than the purchase, then there you go. You have your solutions to the overdrafts or the lack of. Lastly, I'll say this in regard to this topic. Knowing that money is only temporary and it's a tool is very important. There's a high correlation between how we manage our emotions to how we manage money. And I'll say this. If you feel you don't have enough money for something, it could be a reality for you, or it could literally just be a problem-solving opportunity. Let's say, let's say that you have a purchase you're making and it's a huge purchase, but you know that long-term it will pay off. It's a great mentality to know that it's an investment like anything else. If you want a physique that is to your liking and healthy and fit, you're going to have to put time into the gym and work, right? You're going to have to work it out. You're going to have to shoot in the gym. You're going to have to work it out. It's the same thing with money. You're literally going to have to invest it in something that it's worth it. One thing that will never lose value is you. If you invest in you with your money in any capacity to grow your intellect, your intuition, or your insight, it's well spent. That's why a lot of people say, like, well, school is so expensive, like, is it really worth it? I'd say that if you're really learning from the experience and you're investing in yourself, then yes, the answer is it is worth it. So as we go ahead and go into wrap up for this session in, managing your emotions to manage your money, there's so many different things that we could talk about this, but I'll say this. I highly recommend that as an exercise, you talk to the $100 bill as honestly and transparently as you can. And you journal the emotions that come up for you. You journal literally, what was said, what you felt, and what came up for you. And then you literally write down stories of your early on first experiences in regards to money. You'll have a lot more connections. You'll literally see patterns. Transparently, I'll share with you guys that when I was younger, my mom would kid with me when I would ask, like, hey, mom, can I have some ice cream? And we would be out, right? She'd tell me, like, Like, do you think money grows on trees? And then one day when I got older, I was like, Mom, you're wrong. Actually, it does grow on trees because money is made out of paper and paper comes from trees. And she looked at me and then she realized something and she's like, you're technically right. And then that's when I realized that not everything that my parents tell me and teach me is true. I literally learned to challenge thoughts and beliefs that I didn't agree with. And it's not always going to go well. And I'll share, it didn't always, go that great with my parents. It didn't. But that was the beginning of me knowing if somebody tells me that because of who I am, where I grew up, what I lack, according to them, makes me not a great candidate for this, this, and this, or to earn this much because of my gender, my sex, my background, my culture, whatever it is, I could definitely contest it and tell them, actually, I am what I believe. It's very powerful and it takes a while to get there. And I'm not fully there either. I'm still a work in progress. But I'm encouraging all of you to consider that you are your own value. People don't buy a product, merchandise, or service. They buy you, literally. Ask yourself this as a last point to this. If you guys were a product, what product would you be and where would you be sold? The answer to that will tell you your baseline of where you're at currently with your emotions and your relationship with money. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask me. I encourage it, and thank you so much for watching.